Okay, so so if you want to pick up the line where we left, where we finished last lesson, all you have to do is download the Dojo Course source code, and it is available at source.lombiq.com, like this. And if you visit this page, you're going to see our open repositories in Bitbucket, and you have to go to Dojo Course Orchard demo and then click download. And then you're going to get the whole package in a zip file. You just have to extract it, and under the source folder, which is src, you're going to see dojocourse.sln. And I already have it opened here, so all I need to do is run it with hitting Ctrl F5. And then it's going to fire up this website using IIS Express. So today's topics will be the so-called advanced content management, which will include using the shiny and extremely useful custom forms module, which was introduced in version 1.5. The subtopics regarding this is the tokens, for example, which is another neat feature of Orchard. We're going to look at workflows and how can you connect different features in Orchard with them, in this case custom forms and workflows. We're going to briefly talk about the import-export features, which is strongly tied together with the recipes. And then we're going to look at the other very useful module introduced with 1.5, I think it was 1.5, which is the projector. Okay, so let's see what we have today. I'm going to sign in with admin password, our extremely secure login credentials, and I'm going to go to the dashboard. And on the dashboard, the first step creating a custom form is basically creating a content type. Why is that? Because a custom form basically displays the editor of a content type. So if you want to use a custom form, we have to make a content type. So I go to content definition and create a new type. I'm going to enter the name, for example, Dojo form. And in this example, we're going to create a very simple contact form, for example, for applying to this course. For the Dojo form content type, we're going to add a few fields because it's a very simple example. We don't need to make it any complex. So some basic settings. We don't want to make it searchable because we don't need it. We don't need to make it creatable because we're going to expose the editor of this content type to the front end, but we don't need to be able to create it on the back end or in the admin interface. So we won't make it creatable, and also we don't need to make it draftable either. So we don't need to version them, just let the user submit one of these items, and that's all. Also, one thing I always forget, we always forget in the demos, is to look at the common part settings, because if you display this content types editor on the front end, just like this, you're going to see that the users can edit the username of the user that is submitted it. We obviously don't want to do that. Well, mainly because it's a bad design. And most of the time these custom forms or these forms are submitted by anonymous users, so it doesn't really make sense to display this one here. Okay, so just in case, let's save it, and then we're going to add some fields to it. Okay, so one thing that is notable for the custom forms feature is related to this draftable option, which we'll in case select. And what the security issue is. Basically, if anonymous users, and most of the case anonymous users can view any content item. So basically, if you want to store some sensitive data which was sent in using custom forms, basically names and email addresses, Like in this case, you don't want any anonymous user to be able to view it. So if you make it draftable, upon saving this content item, it won't be published if you do it the right way, and we'll do it the right way, of course. So if you make it draftable and you only save this content item but not publish it, any anonymous user or any user that doesn't have the authorization won't be able to see what the entered data was, won't be able to see the content item. So this way, you are free to require any sensitive data, for example, an email address, in a custom form, and even if the anonymous users can visit your site and see any content item, they won't be able to see the data that was provided by these custom form items. So to be able to enter any data, because this is just a plain content item without any customized data, we're going to add some fields to it. So let's say we want to make them enter a name, and the name and the technical name of this text field will be just name. And as you can see, there are some customization features here. For example, this is required. You can display some help text here. For example, please enter your real name here. And if the content item is indexable and is searchable, you can include this field in the index, but we don't need that now. So just in case, we'll save it. And I also select draftable here because of the important security issue I described earlier. So if I go back to add field, let's say I want to have another text field for email. And this is also required, and I just say, please enter your email address. I'm sorry, I'm not going to use a text field here. I'm going to use an input field, because very important thing that input fields have validation options. So that's a big difference. If you just have a text field, it won't go through any kind of validation. And if I open the input field settings for my email property, I can select a lot of things here, so it's much more customizable. And one of them is input type email. So this way, Orchard will check with a regular expression if the entered data is a valid email address. And I'm also going to select it as required, because obviously we have to communicate in some way. Okay, and another field I'm going to add is just for the sake of the demonstration is a Boolean field. Well, obviously, if you enter a name, it's kind of well, not entirely necessary, but let's say I want to have a checkbox with to select if the participant is a male or female. So I'm also going to open the options here, and I can of course select it in the index, add the neutral options, so this way the checkbox will be a three-way checkbox, and the help text will be well, just simply is a male. So if you're a male, just select this checkbox, and that's it. We have our content type here. Okay, so the next step is to actually use the custom forms module, because so far what we have done is just normal content management. So this is just a plain content type creating what we have covered so far, but we are going to use the custom forms feature now. And for this purpose, if you go to modules, you'll see that the custom forms feature is disabled, so let's enable it. And as soon as the page reloads, you're going to see that a new menu item appears on the left side menu, and this is custom forms. And if you click on it, you're going to see the manage custom forms screen, where you can add a new custom form. So let's do that. Okay, so let's create this new custom form. Let's edit some settings. So the name of the custom form is Dojo Course application. I'm not going to edit the permalink. It's going to be automatically generated. I'm going to select the content type here, which is Dojo form. And now here come the important settings. Save the content item once the form is submitted. So let's say I don't want to save these content items because I have, for example, email notification set up, and I just want to see the data, but not persist it in the database. That's possible with, for example, workflows. So we're going to see how that works. But now I want to save these content items. The other option here is specify a custom message when the form is submitted. So we're going to go around this setting as well. We'll see how we can display, for example, a customized message for the users that submit a custom form. But for now, we are just going to display a static message. For example, thanks for applying. I can also redirect the user, but I don't really need that for now. I'll just go to the home page, and well, yeah, this is a spoiler alert, but this is a tokenized text box. We're going to talk about them a little later. So let's just not redirect them. I'm going to show this on a menu. We have two menus here. So let's just edit to make it more simple to reach. So if I publish this, what will happen here? We're going to have a custom form based on the content item we've just created before. The custom form will basically be the editor of this content item. It's going to appear on the menu with the menu text Dojo form. When I submit this form, this item that will be an instantiated Dojo form content item will be persisted to the database, and then the user will get a notification saying thanks for applying. So that's it. Let's publish it now. And if I go to the front end, I'm going to see that I have a new menu item here called Dojo form. And okay, so I'm logged in here. So basically I can use this form, but if I is that right? Oh, okay. So if I log back in, I'm going to have to edit some permission settings to be able to submit this content item, this custom form content item. So if I go to users, roles, and then anonymous, let's say, okay, so if you search for Dojo, you're going to see that the custom forms feature has its own set of permissions. And now I am editing the permissions for the anonymous user role. And as you can see, you're going to have an entry for each of the custom forms you've created. And the entry is about allowing that role to submit forms. And I want to allow anonymous users to be able to participate in the Dojo course, of course. So I want them to be able to submit a custom form of this type called Dojo form. So if I click on allow and then save this role, I go back to the front end, visit the Dojo form, and if I sign out, I won't meet an error page, but I'm going to be able to see this editor as well. So if I just enter, for example, dojo@sample.com, dojo@lombiq.com, or sample.com or anything like that, I'm going to enter a name well, Zoltan, if you want to participate, we will gladly accept your application. And then I'm going to, well, Zoltan is obviously me. So if I submit this content this content item, yes, actually the text is not really well customized, but yeah. So I just submit this custom form, and yeah, I got the message, thanks for applying. So Zoltan is now a participant of the Dojo course, yay. Okay, let's sign back in and see what we have done, because we want to see the effect of what happened here. So if I go back to dashboard and then custom forms, well, obviously the Dojo course application form is created. Let's go back to submissions, and under submissions you'll see this one created content item of the Dojo form, and of course this was created through the Dojo form custom form. And I can preview it, and I see the data that has been entered. And you see here that this is a draft. So this is a good thing if I am an anonymous user that has nothing to do with the site, or it could be even a web crawler. If this item was published, let's say if I would click publish, anyone could reach this data. For example, they would know what Zoltan's email address is, and that would be a bad thing for him, because he would get a lot of spam, obviously, and he would sue me for well, he has all the reasons to sue me because I have not handled his sensitive data correctly. So watch out for this. We have this content item created. So basically that's how you create a custom form, let users to submit items of this form, and then see the data. Okay, so let's say you're the administrator of this website that runs the Dojo course, and you want users to be able to apply to your course, but you can't sit all day in front of your computer and hit refresh on this page to be able to see when users want to apply, because that would be quite time consuming. So if you want to get notified when users want to apply to the Dojo course, you have to use workflows, which is a very nice feature introduced with 1.7, and this will enable you to create workflows, which is a highly customizable set of actions that has a starting point, which can be any event in the system, and you can add other activities after it, what should happen when this and that happens. So workflows is enabled by default. So let's see workflows here. On the page manage workflow definitions, this is very similar so far to the one with custom forms. We're going to create a new workflow definition. So the name of the workflow should be Dojo form submission notification. Okay, and we have a warning here. The workflow needs at least one activity to be set as a starting state. Why is that here? Because every workflow needs a starting state, which will trigger the running of the workflow. So basically, we define a set of activities that should happen in the system, and each time it is triggered by the starting state, this will create a new instance of the workflow, and they will run separately. So, for example, if two users submit the same form at the same time, two instances of this workflow will run, and well, they will do what you want them to do. So before the version 1.7.1, we had the content created for handling custom forms, but that wasn't a really good solution, because for it to be able to work, you needed to create a timer activity as well to make some delay between the submission and the notification part of the workflow. That was because the content item was not immediately persisted in the database. So if you wanted to access immediately the data that was entered when the workflow started to run, you would be in trouble, and it was all empty because the data wasn't persisted immediately. But with 171, we have a new activity, and this is form submitted. So this is specifically designed to handle this scenario when contact forms or custom forms are submitted. You need to use this form submitted action as a starting point. And another nice thing here is that it always reminds you to save your changes, because this editor's state is stored on your local system, but as soon as you hit save, it will be sent to the server and persisted to the database. So if I click on the form submitted, I can set it as a starting state with this, and then it's going to be grayed. And if I click on the edit, I can select a custom form. So basically we have any, which means that any custom form is submitted, this workflow will run, but we have a Dojo Course application form specifically for this scenario, so I'm going to select and save. So now, basically, if I just saved here, basically nothing important would happen, but the workflow would run every time I hit it save on a custom form, or in this case, a Dojo Course application form. So let's say we're going to see the most obvious sign of this workflow is running, and this is a notification. So I'm going to add a notify activity here, display a message, and if I click on this little dot here, I'm going to drag and drop it to the notify activity, and if I click on it, I can edit its settings. So the notification time should be information. This is the type that has a green background, and it's the same stuff as as on the custom form settings. Since I made a spoiler, the tokens, we're going to briefly talk about what are tokens in the system and what do they do. So every time if you have a text box like this with a little button on the right bottom corner, that input field is tokenizable. What does it mean? You can use a token in that text field, which is a unique, well, it's an identifier for a property, for example, for the current content item or any data in the system. So let's say the current content item in this context is the contact form or the Dojo application form that was submitted. So they start with content. So when the content item is submitted, you're going to be able to access the ID, the author, and other properties on this content item. But if you scroll down, you can use other tokens, well, if they make sense. Obviously, we don't have a content picker in this matter, in this example, so the content picker field tokens doesn't make any sense here, but they are in the system, and you can write your own tokens. So we'll look at them later on in this course. You can access datetime tokens, which are related to the current date and time, and other tokens that are in the system. I'm not going to list them all, but there are some useful tokens here. For example, if the user is an authenticated user, I can access its email address, its name, the ID, and other important data as well. So basically, under content.fields.dojo form, we can access the data that was entered on the custom form. Why is that? Because the current context of these tokens is the content item that was submitted, and this is of the type Dojo form. So I can access the fields with this chained token, content.fields.dojo form, and after that property name. So I can display a customized message for the user that submitted the custom form. So I'm just going to type, thanks for getting in touch. And then the special syntax, which is curly brace, content.fields.dojoform.name, and then closing curly brace. So when this activity, this notification activity runs, the workflow will be running, of course, because it was triggered by the custom form submitted event. The current context will be the content item that was submitted. This is of the type Dojo form, and then this token will be evaluated, and then this text, starting and ending with these braces, will be replaced by the actual value of the current content item. So in this case, anytime the user enters a name, an email address, and saves and then submits the form, the notifications text will be evaluated here, and then the name will be replaced. So let's just save it, and let's see how it works so far. Hopefully it really is working so far. So I'm just going to go back to Dojo form. I don't need to log out. Well, it doesn't really matter now. And I'm just going to enter the same data here. So Zoltan is eager to attend the Dojo course, so he applies a second time as well. So if I click on submit, I'm going to see two notifications. One of them comes from the custom form settings, which is thanks for applying. The other one is thanks for getting in touch, Zoltan. So as you can see, the text I entered here, the token content.fields.dojoform.name, is being replaced by the actual value I typed here before. So this is a very neat little feature. You can write your own token providers, and that's a really good extensibility point as well. Okay, so let's go back to the other part of this notification system, and let's say I want to be notified when these custom forms are actually submitted of this type Dojo form. And this is the email activity, if I find it in this list. Oh no, I won't find it, because as you can obviously, as everything in Orchard, the workflows is also extensible, and I forgot that the email module is not enabled here. So if I type email in the search filter under modules, I'm going to see that the email messaging module is disabled. So let's just enable it. I'm not going to set up, but it will display a notification that I should set it up, because obviously for sending emails you need a SMTP server. So if I save it again or just hit refresh, I'm going to get this notification, obviously. And I have another activity here. This is send email. What is it good for? I can edit some data, and it will send emails. So if after the notification, I'm going to, when it is done, so when it is displayed, I'm going to send an email, and I can select some settings here. I can enter the email address. This can be only one or a comma separated list. If I select other, or I can send the email to the site administrator, the owner, the author. For example, if it only makes sense if the user who submits the custom form is an authenticated user and has the email address provided. And I also can send it to the owner, so this can be a different matter. Since we don't have the email settings set up here, I'm not going to save this. Just it's good that you know about that you can send an email with a notification. This is also fully tokenized, so even the email address can be tokenized. So for example, I can send a notification to the participants that thank you, we have received your application, and obviously this would be available using the token here, content.fields.dojoform.email. But it only works if the user provided a valid email address. I can also enter the subject and the body and send a fully customized notification, email notification based on the current content item. So that's it. I'm just going to delete it and save. Okay, so that's about the basics of the workflows. We have a lot of other activities here, but they are really self-explanatory as well. So they are well designed, and they are really easy to use. And as you can see, this is sort of a visual programming part of Orchard, where really non-technical users who doesn't know programming at all can create such activities, such workflows that really resemble like it was a well-written piece of code, and do something very useful in the background. And all you have to do is use the workflows module for that. So this is very useful. And for example, when someone applies to the Dojo course on our website, this is basically a very similar workflow that runs, and then we get notified as well. So we use it every day, and it's very useful. The other big topic for today is the projector module. The projector was introduced in the version 1.5, and basically it allows you to display a specific list of content items based on several filters, and then display the way you want. So basically the projector has two main steps. One of them is creating a query. The other one is displaying it somehow. The query is about selecting what type of content items you want to select. You can add filters to it, and then the other part is how you display it. And the display is also through content types. So first, let's just create a query here. In a query, we're going to select what type of content items we want to handle. So if I go to queries, I can see this page is very similar to the preceding ones. So I'm going to add the new query here. The query name will be, let's say, just pages, because it's a simple example. And I'm going to edit the query. So I have 3 regions here. First of all, filters. So and they are also extensible, so I can create new groups here, but that's not really necessary here. I'm just going to add a new filter here. So as you can see, we have a very similar list as the one we've seen, for example, on the role customization page. What we see here is the available filters for the features, for the separate features in the system, and as everything, so we don't need to say it every time, but this is extensible as well, so you can create a projection filter very easily. Okay, so let's filter on content types. So if I go under the content region here, we have the content types filter here, and I'm just going to select the page content type, and I'm just going to add a little description, filter and pages. So if I save this and click on preview, I'm going to see that since we have a few pages in the system, I have a list of the pages. So this is all you need to do if you want to display all the pages in one place. Well, that's not very useful, but you get the idea. You can filter on any content items, and you can add more filters. You can even filter on a lot of I didn't want to click that. A lot of other things, for example, creation date. You can, since we have this Dojo form content item, you can filter on these fields as well. You can filter on tags, taxonomy terms, and by the title, part title as well. So we have sort criteria too. So let's add the sort criteria. And we have a very similar page here. The other one, the only one that is different here is random. So I can select a randomized list. So if I go under preview, I should be able to get a different ordering every time I load this page. So this is not very special, but yeah, that's there. And if I go under layout, I can customize this as well. We have a few of these predefined in the system, but you can create your own layouts as well. Well, the most easy is just an HTML list, You can customize it, but it's really easy to use. You can one notable thing here is the HTML properties. So let's say you are creating a projection for your website because you want to display a list of a specific type of content, and if you have your own theme, you can add IDs here and classes and define classes here. So if you have your own CSS classes, you can use them on these list items, which are basically content items here. This can be an unordered list or an ordered list. So these are really self-explanatory settings. I'm not going to use all of them due to the lack of time, unfortunately. So if I click close, I'm going to have this projection. So it's just an unordered HTML list with a randomized order. Okay, so what do I do with it? I can preview it, but how to use it on the front end? It's a very similar thing. One of them is creating a projection page, which is a very basic feature here. The other one is creating a projection widget. So basically what I can do is create another page, which will be a projection page, and in the content zone, the result of these queries, this time it will be randomized, a list of these pages will be displayed. The other one is a projection widget, so that's very similar, just displayed as a widget. So let's see those two very quickly. I'm just going to create a new projection, and we have some basic settings here. I can add the title, so page projection. I can set it as the home page, so it's easier if I do that. It's easier to access it. So let's do that. The default query, the query for this projection will be on the default layout or the unordered HTML list I created. So if I don't want this customized, well, it's not really customized because I didn't select any special setting here, but I can use the default layout, which will be just a row list. But I use this unordered HTML list because I created it. I can select how many items I want to display. 0 is the no limit. Use 0 if you don't want a limit. The offset is another very simple setting here. So if I want to, for example, skip the first 3 items here, I just can set 3. So if I have 5 pages and I set the offset to 3, only 2 of them will be displayed. And the maximum items is the one that can be displayed at once. I can add a suffix here. So this is very important, because if you have more items than the number of maximum items, these widgets will be paginated, which means that I can select pages, so I can step back and forth between pages. If you want to display multiple paginated projections at once, you need to suffix them, so Orchard will be able to know which one you're paging. If you don't use the suffixes, and if you click next on one of these widgets, all of them will step, if available, all of them will step one page. If you display the pager, but I'm not going to do that now, just display it. So I can also add it to a menu or an admin menu, but let's just go with the default values here. If I go back to the home page, I'm going to see this page projection with the 5 content items every time in a different order, because I selected a random ordering. Now let's just quickly use the projection widget as well. So if I go to widgets, on the default layer in the SI second zone, I'm going to add a new widget, and this is the projection widget. Now the query will be the same, so the pages under the HTML is, I'm going to add the title, so page projection widget, and let's display it on the front end as well. I can enter a technical name for the widget, similarly to be able to customize its look and feel in CSS, for CSS. I'm just going to select 3 items with a pager, so let's just save it. if I go back to the home page, I'm going to see that I have 3 items here and 5 items here because the projection page that is actually being rendered as the content displays all of them, but the projection widget only displays 3 of them, and as you can see, the ordering is of course randomized and differently randomized. If I go to order, I'm going to be able to select the other page, so the first page displays 3 of them and the other page displays the 2 rest items. So if I go back to dashboard again, I'm going to show you one more thing about projections, and that one thing is how the projections work together with the navigation. As last time Zoltán mentioned that we have several types of menu items, we have a menu item type which is called the query link. So let's just add the query link here, and I can select a query. The only one in the system is pages, obviously, and we have very similar settings here. So items to display and offset, I already mentioned them before, so I'm not going to go in details. The menu text is just how they appear in the menu, so I just say pages, and let's save and see what happens here. And what I have here, is it the foot menu? Yes. Well, we have some. What is the rule for the default? Well, okay. Anyway, so what I have here is another randomized list of these items, and I think they don't display. Oh yeah, they do display. Okay, so I have these 5 links here. So basically what happens is that this query link item uses the query I created before. It's called the pages, and this is a query that gets you the 5 pages in the system, or actually in this time all of the pages in the system, but we have 5 now in the randomized order, and they are displayed as menu items. So but this is not really nice to have just them all in a plain, in a flat menu. So you can just add an HTML menu item saying, for example, pages, and put this query item link under it. So if you hover on it, you're going to see this item. So let's do that quickly. I have an HTML menu item. The menu text should be pages, and if I put this query link under it, I'm going to have a hierarchy here. So where do I have this displayed? Shouldn't it be displayed? Sorry. Okay, so I forgot to enter the HTML, and it was basically it wasn't displaying anything, but I entered the text pages here, and this time it should. Okay, it's not working again. Custom link. Okay, what I wanted to achieve is not to have an actual link, but only HTML, but it doesn't work. So if you have a custom link that has a text with pages, and you put your query link underneath this new item, you're going to have a nice structure. So you won't have all the items coming from this query displayed on the first level, but on the second level. So it's going to be a nice drop down structure. Okay, so that's all about projections as well. Feel free to explore these features because they are very useful. Even if you are an Orchard developer, when you run a site, or you're going to use them frequently, because they are very basic features and they give you a lot of freedom in the customization of your website. So that's about projections now.
All right. So what we will do now is very exciting, because we will start to develop for Orchard. So till now, what we have done was solely using the admin UI What is important because there are a lot of features implemented, but we shouldn't reinvent. But of course we are developers, so we want to develop for Orchard. And as mentioned the last time, we will start with theme development. So we have seen before that there are two types of extensions in Orchard. Modules that extend the functionality, more or less, and there are also themes. And themes are type of extensions that are intended to solely give a skin to an Orchard site. So with themes you can customize how your Orchard site looks. So basically it contains HTML templates, CSS files, JavaScript files, graphics, images, nothing really more. So let's see how to do it. We have our Orchard solution here. So we will now dive into Visual Studio, but first we have to create our theme project, because here we have these folders. We haven't really seen them before, we haven't really talked about them before, but here is one especially important folder, themes. Now under this themes folder are the themes commonly stored, and themes are projects themselves. They shouldn't be projects, this is not obligatory, but it's better to have your themes as separate projects, separate C# projects. Actually, that it's not obligatory to have themes as projects is illustrated here, because under this themes project we already have 3 themes, one called Safe Mode, the admin, and the theme machine. And actually what we see here on the admin side is the admin theme, and what we can see on the front end is the theme machine theme. So the theme machine is also selected as the current theme because it's the only one. So all in all, themes shouldn't necessarily be in their own projects, but for the sake of cleanliness, let's have them in their own projects. And how to start? We have a command line for that, and we will scaffold our theme project. So if we go on the orchard.web project with a right click and open folder in File Explorer, we will get to our orchard.web projects folder. And the reason we want to have that, we want to do that, is because it has some binaries generated, binaries compiled, and among them also orchard.exe. So orchard.exe is the Orchard command line. So let's run it. The Orchard command line is a very useful tool because through this command line interface you can handle many aspects of Orchard. You can do many content management tasks, and of course this is very useful if you want to automate things. Now what we will use from the command line is not these aspects for automation, but for development tasks. Now for code generation. What we should do is generate the code for our module, but to do that we need to enable a feature, because as everything in Orchard, the code generation was also implemented as a module, or as an extension, this time a module. By the way, if we take a look at the solution, it's here, it's orchard.code generation. This is the module's name. And we have to enable it, because by default it's not enabled. So let's enable it first. And the command to enable features from the Orchard command line is feature enable feature name. So that's feature enable orchard.code generation. This will enable the whole code generation module, and this will also give us the tool to generate our theme project with some very basic files that are necessary. So let's hit enter. Code generation was enabled, So the next thing is to actually run the code generation command, and that's codegen theme. And now we have to find a name for our theme. Commonly how we name modules and themes is to have a prefix with either the vendor or this time probably with the institute, with the course's name, and then the name. So let's call it Dojo Course.theme. We could have a Dojo Course.admin theme also, stuff like that. So let's hit enter and see what happens. It might take a while the first time for this command to complete, but eventually we should have our nice new theme. And indeed, so what this command now created, if we take a look at the folder of the web project again, so here it is. Here's the folder I opened the command line from. If we go back to orchard.web, what is, by the way, under the solution folder, source, orchard.web. If we go back to this orchard.web folder, we have the themes physical folder also here. So it's not just a solution folder. And under this themes folder, we now have the Dojo Course.theme folder created with our theme project in it. With our theme project in it, that isn't here, because as it seems, one thing I forgot. I mentioned earlier that themes don't necessarily have to have their own project. Now by default the command line generates themes without a project, just as a folder. This would work, but it's more convenient to have a separate project. So let's remove this, because this was a mistake, and let's regenerate it. And I can't remember correctly the switch, how you can create a project file, but luckily we have the help. So help codegen theme, and that's another interesting thing. What we can see here, this app domain of Orchard session has been downloaded, blah blah blah, is a feature of Orchard, and a cool feature of Orchard. And now that we are beginning to develop Orchard, it's worth noting. Orchard contains something called dynamic compilation. As you may know, when you develop a .NET application, you have to compile it before running. Now, if you develop an Orchard module or theme, you don't necessarily have to hit compile when you change something, because Orchard has this feature called dynamic compilation. This dynamic compilation will automatically pick up changes in code files and compile just the module or just the theme in question for you. So if you develop your theme, you just hit F5 in your browser, you don't have to recompile in Visual Studio, it will be recompiled. So as we can see, the switch is called create project, true. So I don't know how I forgot that. So create project true. This will create also the project file. It's done. And now in our folder, we indeed have the Dojo Course theme and our Dojo Course theme project file. So let's go back to our solution and add the project to it. Okay. Yeah, it's this is the mistake before, that when I generated the theme without a project file, it was added to the themes project as a folder. So sorry for a mistake. Let's remove that from here as well, from under themes. So what I managed to do is what I managed to do is that I created the folder, I created the theme as a folder. It was added to the solution. Then I created the theme as a project, and then I removed remove this from the solution, but this removed the project. So sorry about being crazy over this now. So let's generate the theme again. Dojo Course or theme. Create project through. But it's always good to practice the command line skills, of course. And now let's go to the solution. And here we have our Dojo Course theme. And inside we have our Dojo Course project. Now to save the whole solution, because now we added a new project to it, hit Control Shift and S, so this saves everything, of course. And now if we go back to the dashboard and take a look at under our themes, we should be able to see our new theme. We haven't done anything with it yet, we haven't created anything yet, it's just a scaffolded skeleton for a theme. Indeed we have it here. So first of all, there are some data about our theme, and it has a quite ugly name because it has the dot inside, whatever. So let's change that. Now in our solution we have the Dojo Course theme project generated for us, and we have its skeleton. So let's change it. Probably the most important file in a theme project is the theme.txt. So let's open it. The theme.txt is the manifest for a theme. So it describes some commonly needed data for a theme. Actually, it's not the data inside is not really used for anything else than displaying, except for one property that we will try out in a moment. But as you can see, we have a name. Well, let's change it to something nicer, like having spaces instead of dots. And the author is not the orchard team, but Dojo Course participants. Let's give a big applause for ourselves. Okay, so let's take a look at the dashboard again, what happens. And of course, everything is changed now. So we have the theme name properly and also the author name properly set. Okay, so our site still uses the theme machine theme, because as you can see, this is the current theme. So let's set our Dojo Course theme as a current theme. Of course, it's very easy with the set current button, fortunately. You could also preview the site with the theme. If you click that, you will see a preview of the site, how it would look with the theme applied, without actually applying the theme. Well, it looks pretty bad, but we will see why. Okay, so let's go back. Let's not try the preview for now, and set current. Okay, so let's cancel the previewing because it was still enabled. Okay, so now the Dojo Course theme is the current theme. So if you take a look at the front end, it looks awful. And why is this like that? Of course, because our theme doesn't contain any styling yet. Now we have to add the CSS files to it and also possible templates. But what if we want to use most of the CSS files and most of the templates from another theme? We want to reuse another theme and just override some pieces. So we want to use, for example, the theme machine as our base and build upon that with our own theme. So we don't have to style everything from ground up. Now there is a switch for that, or an option in the theme.txt, and this is the only option that's not just displayed but also used by Orchard. and it's called base theme. And when you specify the base theme, you have to use the full name of the other theme you want to use as your base. And this is our theme machine. And as you can see in the solution, it's called the theme machine. So let's copy that name and set it as the base theme, the theme machine. Now, when we reload the site now, we should see pretty much the same as before. Because what happens now that everything that's not defined in our theme comes from the base theme, what's now the theme machine. So we basically have an empty theme yet that uses a base theme, so we can now start to write stuff to override pieces from our base theme. And on a final note, because we don't have time to actually start writing anything on this occasion, on a final note, let's try out another module that will aid our theme development process, and it's called shape tracing. So let's go to modules and enable shape tracing. It's not enabled by default. Here comes a very important notion in Orchard, and it's the notion of shapes, because you can pretty much only develop themes if you understand shapes, and to understand shapes, the shape tracer feature is very useful. So now that shape tracing is enabled, let's reload the front end, and on the bottom of the screen you will see this little developer tool. It's similar to the in-browser developer tools, client-side development tools. And what you see here is actually the tree of shapes, because these shapes, these mystical shapes, are the objects behind the layout of Orchard. So the layout of Orchard is built up from shapes. These are dynamic objects, and these dynamic objects, the shapes, provide the view models for our display. These shapes contain everything that is needed on the front end to display everything. So there are shapes behind everything in Orchard. There is a shape in the header. If you click on the header, the Dojo Course here, when shape tracing is enabled, you see that we have something highlighted. The branding is highlighted because what I clicked on is the branding shape. So this up here is the shape called branding, and this shape contains everything that's needed to display it. In this case, this thing Dojo Course, so the name of the site. If you take a look at these tabs of shape tracing, you can also see what's in the model. So the object behind the shape, it's a dynamic object, so we can't see really anything really useful here, unfortunately. But probably something giving more hints is the template, is under the template tab. So actually, this is the piece of HTML that generates the branding shape. This is used to generate what we see in the header of the site. And as you can see, well, it displays the site name. And the site name comes from something else, but this is something harder to understand. We will look into that next time when we will write our first template with the help of shape tracing in our skeletal theme. So we will start with that next time. Thank you for your attention, and hopefully see you next time.